There is a lot of misunderstanding surrounding returnees or retirees coming back from wherever they were in Europe or North America and returning to Jamaica. And some of it has to do with their reason for coming home, as well as their wealth position that they occupy. And we're going to have a discussion about some of these in this video. So let's jump into it.
Jam Fam family, the Jam Fam family, yeah. Jam Fam, come hang with me.
Hello, Wagwan. Big up yourself, whether you're there yard or you're there abroad. Welcome back to another episode of Life in the Jam with the Jam Fams. Now, in this episode, we're going to have a look at the truth regarding repats and wealth, and see if some of these stereotypes and myths are some that you're familiar with, and try and uncover and unpack some truths. When Jamaicans who have been abroad repatriate to Jamaica, whether they're coming back as retirees or not, wealth is pretty much not their reason or rationale for coming back. And though in some cases it might be a thing, in majority of the cases, wealth is definitely not a motivator. And they're not coming back because they're wealthy, but they're coming back because they want to be able to return to their country, escape the rat race, come back where they can add to the development of their country and enhancement of it with the skill set and the knowledge they learned. Or they just want to be able to come back and be able to live their life, or what's left of it if they're retirees, in a way that they feel like they can be dignified and they can live in a way that they can enjoy and give themselves a little more opportunity at extending their lifespan and enjoying those latter years of life after they've worked exceptionally and extremely hard in the countries that they were living or called their residence for several years or decades. Some people living in the diaspora, as well as people living in metropolitan areas in Jamaica, have a notion that it requires large, excessive sums of money in order to live in Jamaica. And as such, they believe that if Jamaicans who are in the diaspora are able to come back to Jamaica and live, they must be wealthy, or they must have nice nest egg of money stashed away somewhere that they're going to be living off. And this might be something that has generated because of the ideation that has been planted in the minds of people of how opportunities exist in these foreign countries. And although the notion as though gold is on the ground, and the ideation as though these countries have a gold rush that people can just go to and just pick from. But the only gold that is there that you can see is white, and it melts after it has fallen on the ground for a little while. It's called snow. So the reality of it is that those ideations help people to think that people coming from those countries are wealthy. I was watching a comedian the other day, and he was talking about his experience of going to live in America. And he said when he came to America, it was the first time he saw something that he never knew existed before. And when he was finishing his punchline and he asked what that was, he made it clear that he had never imagined that there were poor white people. And he said that because he's telling his story from the point of view that when he hears about people coming from places like America and Europe or Canada, he's expecting people to be wealthy, and that poverty is not anywhere near those countries. But it is clear for us to understand that wealth and poverty goes hand in hand. Wherever you find people wealthy, you're going to also find people who are poor, and the in-between as well. So we can't just assume that because people are coming from these countries necessarily make them wealthy. Of course, they have more access to credit in a way that certain countries don't. However, that in itself does not mean that they are wealthy. It just means that they have the credit to access certain things and have it before they actually have the finances to pay for it, and so they can pay for it whilst they are enjoying them. Whereas in certain countries, people gather their money together before they go and buy something, and so when they buy it, they actually own it outright. The other reason people have this notion that it's expensive is if you live in a metropolitan area where there's a high demand for things, one of the things you find that will happen is the prices of things are going to be increasing, and therefore it works out to appear to be quite expensive. But if you live in other areas, then that's not necessarily going to be the case. And if you compare any country in Europe or in North America and you look at their highly dense populated cities, they're going to be more expensive than cities that are further away, that are not as dense in their population. And that's just the way that it goes. So it doesn't necessarily mean that repats coming to Jamaica or expats are covered in wealth. It just means that they're seeking out other opportunities or other way of life, and they want something that's different, and they feel that Jamaica can offer that to them. The fact is, most Jamaicans who are going to any of these countries in North America or in Europe, when they go there, oftentimes they do not start to directly contribute into the national insurance, the social security, or the old age security. And the reason for this is oftentimes they either are on certain forms of work permits, or some of them haven't yet finalized their immigration situation and therefore aren't able to add to that contribution. Now, in those countries, you need to contribute to their pension scheme for a minimum of 35 to 40 years in order to benefit from their basic state pension that they give. And if you haven't been able to contribute to that, which majority of Jamaicans who go abroad to these countries, who migrated from Jamaica, not those who were born in those countries, but those who migrated from Jamaica to those countries, haven't worked, and most of them would not have worked for 35 years to contribute to the state pension, to be able to benefit from their basic pension. And as such, they would only be able to benefit from a reduced version of that pension. And up until this research that I've just done this year, for this year figures, I'm going to now share with you what the figures are for the UK, for the USA, and for Canada, in terms of what they pay for their pension scheme at a basic. And that will give you the idea that most pension earners in Jamaica who came back from any of those countries would most likely be getting a pension that is significantly less than this. Based on the research that I've done just recently, the UK pays £958 per month for their pension, and so that's what the NI contribution pays out currently. And the United States pays $1,066, and also Canada pays $715. So for Canada and the US, that's their dollars respectively. Now, when you think about that and you understand that this is how much money that they pay their people who have worked 35 to 40 years, it gives you an understanding then that if Jamaicans who go there and work for less than those periods and contribute are going to be paid significantly less, then it gives you an idea of the fact that the myth that people have, where they feel like these pensioners who are coming into the country are getting hefty sums of money, you get to realize that actually that is not the case. They really aren't. And a lot of them are dependent on things like the medical facilities where they can get reduced medical cost in this country, in Jamaica, when they're here, to help them with their cost, and depending on their children as well, for those of them who have children in those countries, to help them to be able to better afford their cost and expenses, because this pension that they get will not necessarily cover all of the things that they need in order to match the way of life that they had in those countries. And therefore, that helps people to understand that what they're thinking that these people have in terms of money and wealth is very much not the case. And therefore, we need to rethink how we were viewing this and eradicate those stereotypes and those myths from our vocabulary and from our thinking. Equally, it's worth remembering that there are a significant number of repats and expats who are here who are either working remotely, or they are working here in the country, or they're setting up businesses of their own, and they are not yet at the age to get state pension. So what they're doing is ensuring that their lifestyle is frugal enough, and they are living with an idea of minimalism, so that they are enjoying their lives to the fullest, whilst at the same time be able to afford it with the revised income that they are now having from moving back to Jamaica. Many take taxis or drive used cars, and they live in realistically sized houses. And these are the things that they do to help them with affording the different costs that they have when they are living here. Some of them may have self-contained apartments on their houses to help them to afford some of their costs or reduce some of the outgoings that they have to do from the monies that they are earning, because that's an added incentive and added income that they can then use either to pay for their mortgage or to help to pay for some of their other costs that they have, so that they're able to live the type of life that they do want to curate for themselves here in Jamaica. The wonderful thing about most repats or expats is that they use their initiative and they try to create morally and honest streams of income for themselves and for their family, so that they're able to fully afford the expenditures and treat themselves to things that they would have been used to or become accustomed to from the countries that they're coming from. Many repats will have their stories and their stories of challenges and hardships that they have faced in the countries that they're coming from, and the way in which they have had to learn certain levels of discipline that they need in order to thrive, and how they had to work extremely hard in rather extreme circumstances in order to acquire the little money that they have either taken back here with them to get themselves a home, or to help them to set up a business, or to start to be able to build out a life here, because it is no easy feat moving from a country to another where it's very costly and you have to be shipping things with you, especially when you're going to that country and you're not going to necessarily readily earn an income. And therefore it pays homage that we should show respect to the fact that these people have had to endure the things that they had to endure in order to do the things that they are now able to accomplish. Many of them have lived in countries where they have been treated as second-class or third-class citizens for years, for decades, and now they're finally getting this opportunity to come back to their country, to come back to Jamaica, and want to just be able to live a life in which they are treated with the level of human dignity that they know that they deserve, and they are treated with that respect and shown some value for the fact that they have an entitlement now to live out their life and enjoy the proceeds of their hard labor and of their toil that they have managed to accomplish in rather extreme conditions in far-flung reaches of the world that they're actually coming back from. These expats or repats have earned the right to be able to enjoy what they have worked hard for, and we should give them the opportunity therefore to enjoy it. We shouldn't feel that they're being harsh or mean if we ask them for things and they aren't able to give it to us, because the reality is they are having a difficult existence just the same way as many other people around them are. And the fact of the matter is, if they give away what they have to other people, it will mean that what they now have or need to support themselves will be diminished, because people have the idea that they have a lot, and therefore when they're actually in need, who then is going to be there to give them the things that they actually want to have or the thing that they need to survive? So as a result, it is often the reason why they don't give stuff away. It's not because they're mean, it's not because they're being harsh, it's not because they want to be cruel to other people. It's because they're trying to preserve what they have so that it will last them for the time that they're going to be here, and so that they can continue to enjoy a modest life whilst they're living in the country. So if you see them and you had these perceptions about them, I would suggest that you get to know them and actually talk to them, because they can share with you some of their experiences that they have had, and it might add some value to you, as well as give you an opportunity to have a better understanding of where they're coming from when they give the responses that they give, and actually understanding the rudimentaries of their monthly survival and the way in which they have to safeguard what little they have to ensure that month and month they can survive without having to rely or depend on other people. What these repats or expats do have in abundance, though, is experience, and therefore when they are sharing that with you, it is important that you take it on board and see. So for example, they've had experiences of living in different countries, and in some countries in different regions that are governed differently. They have exposure to a lot of ways in which companies operate and are able to share those insights. And so when they do share it, it would be good if those feedback are taken on board, and if those advice that are given are actually looked at to see how we can build out, improve and enhance Jamaica, that people will indeed want to live here, raise family and do business, so that they can actually enjoy an environment in which growth, is possible and thriving is evident for not just a select group of people, but everybody. And so it would be important for us to come to an understanding of the repats or expats and wealth and eradicate the myths that we have surrounding these people.
Today, we're going back into my childhood and we're making cake in a mug. And we're making it with chocolate flavor with like a fudge filling.
Okay.
So I'm going to use milk chocolate and my mum is going to use almond chocolate. So far we've put the flour in. So we put a 1/4 cup of flour into our mug. So we both chose a almond mug. And next, you need a 1/4 of sugar. So I'm going to get the sugar.
1/4 what?
Cup. We've added the sugar. And now we're going to put our cocoa powder. So we're just going to use like Alaska hot chocolate mix because that's what we have. And
we do have unsweetened cocoa if you want it, but it's fine. We've reduced the sugar in the recipe. You've reduced the sugar in the recipe to make room for the fact that this is already sweetened. So what do we do next?
So we're going to split this in half and we're going to share it amongst ourselves. So then next is an 1/8 teaspoon of baking powder.
Okay.
Do we have that measurement?
I should think so.
Of course.
The baking powder, what next?
A pinch of salt. And then, are you okay?
I'm fine.
And then 3 tablespoons of milk.
Okay.
So this is 1 tablespoon. Yeah. So I'm going to do 3 of these. So then I'm going to put the oil. And then 2 tablespoons of cooking oil. 1 and 2. And the same here. 1, 2. I already put a tablespoon of water. So now it's time for the vanilla extract.
Do you need my help?
The Jamaican ones are harder to open than the British ones. Normally the British ones already open the first twist.
Okay, I'll help you.
Just 1/4 teaspoon. I'm just going to do what my family does. Get the lid and pour it in. Because our family cherishes vanilla. The lid is our measurement. And our eyes. And then next we can add our spices. And then our chocolate bar. So mommy, you want cinnamon?
Yes, thanks.
Since I know that's your favorite spice. How many shakes?
3, please.
That's all?
I'll have some nutmeg too.
Okay.
Which one are you having?
I'm not going to put...
You put nutmeg in yours. Okay.
It's fine because the shaker wasn't really working that well, so it's fine. It's not that bad. So I'm going to try and make it on the chocolate side.
Okay.
So now it's time for chocolate bar. So now that we have our chocolate bar packed open, we're going to mix this. Just to make sure there are no lumps.
I'm going to whisk mine.
So now that we've mixed it up and tried to get all of the lumps out, we're going to get our chocolate bars and we're going to submerge it into the chocolate. The milk. So I'm just going to put mine in and then press it down. So then when it cook because it's melted and then it pops up and it feels nice in your mouth.
Okay.
And it tastes nice. Oh, and yours will have nuts inside too.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that that's done, we're gonna put it in the microwave for 1 minute. And then look at it and then see if it needs any more time.
Okay. That's fine then.
It's microwave time.
And that's what it looks like. Of course, I needed to have whisked mine a little bit more to avoid the lumps, but Eliona did a much better job at hers. And now she's topping it off with ice cream. You can top it off with whipped cream as well if you'd prefer. Okay, so bon appetit.
Munch, munch.
Cheers. Taste, let me see. What do you think? It tastes like what you remember?
It tastes better.
Okay, well, I'm going to taste it. Okay. I like it and I think it made sense to have reduced the sugar. It's awesome. It brings back memory of when we used to make this often when you were younger.
The Johnson family. Where Irie living the good life. We're royal, cruising through the West Indies, having fun, enjoying the good life. Jam Fam family, the Jam Fam family, yeah. Jam Fam, come hang with me.
It was a pleasure being here to have this conversation with you on this episode. There were a few comments on the channel which were referring to the wealth of returnee residents and such, and therefore I wanted to come on and have a little conversation with people so that we can get to understand that these people who are coming back because it's something they desire and not because of the amount of wealth that they have. And so hopefully we have come to a better understanding of how to see and treat our repats and our expats. And I thank you for staying with us on this another episode. Bye for now, and we will see you in the next one.